It's 8:30. Good morning, I'm Ian Crouch with Hunter News. Rates in Newcastle will rise in just 2 weeks' time if Council gives the final approval to an increase of almost 47% at tonight's meeting. If approved, the average household will need to pay an extra $500 a year, while businesses will have to find an extra $4,000. The rate hike is expected to add another $115 million to council coffers next financial year. The federal government has reinstated funding to a family counselling and domestic violence support service at Port Stephens. The government initially rejected a grant application from the Port Stephens Family Support Service. However, after lobbying from local MP Bob Baldwin, the funding has been found. Bob Baldwin says the $316,000 will ensure the service continues for another 2 years.
The Minister, after much lobbying, did a gap service analysis and identified that Port Stephens had such a gap, and that's why their funding was part of a subsequent round of $40 million. They've achieved funding and support. I'm happy to have lobbied for them. This is a great outcome, in particular for the people in my community who rely on those services.
Retail spending in Newcastle and Lake Macquarie is expected to hit $5 billion by 2026. The figures included in the economic assessment for the Stockland-Glendale expansion plan, which could be approved as early as next month. The plan includes 50 new retail shops, double the current amount. A larger Coles and a new restaurant precinct is also being proposed. Increasing cultural diversity in the Newcastle and Hunter region has prompted the launch of an online alcohol harm prevention toolkit. The toolkit aims to prevent drug and alcohol-related harms within the region's African communities in a culturally sensitive manner. Chairperson of the Hunter Multicultural Community Drug Action Team, Tony Brown, says the new toolkit is easily accessible.
Well, this toolkit is available on a number of websites, including the Drug and Alcohol Multicultural Education Community, DAMEC, and also the Australian Drug Foundation are listing this toolkit. There's also the opportunity for those interested to get online and check out the Facebook page that's also associated with the new toolkit.
A survey has found 2/3 of Singleton residents are in favour of the Mount Thorley-Warkworth mine expansion being approved. The ReachTel poll also found 77% support mining compared to 12% who are against it. Most people say jobs should be the highest priority when decisions are made on mining projects. And the Joint Regional Planning Panel is set to vote on the first part of the Trinity Point Marina at Morisset Park this Thursday night. Johnson Property Group Managing Director Keith Johnson says the $388 million project includes 198 residential lots, 188 marina berths, and a restaurant, conference centre and hotel.
This one going up to council is 94 berths. It's a 2-year program and we'll start next year.
Sport for our sponsor, newcastlecheapestcars.com.au.
Newcastle Knight Bo Scott says the New South Wales Blues haven't changed their training tactics ahead of State of Origin Game 2 in Melbourne tomorrow night. The Blues have been in camp at Coffs Harbour for the past week in preparation to defend the Origin Shield after a narrow 1-point loss to Queensland in Game 1. Scott says that with the intensity at training, there is no excuse for the side not to perform well.
I'm excited. We've had a really good week. We've trained really strong and one more session this morning and jump on the plane. So we've left nothing in the tank up here. So, no excuses for us really.
Hunter local Toby Price is recovering well in his Aberglasslyn home after a successful stint at the Fink Desert race in the Northern Territory. A week out from the race, the off-road motorcyclist suffered ligament damage and a possible fracture to his right ankle while practising. Nursing the ankle, Price went on to secure his best time for the first leg of the race and continued his effort the next day to secure 4th place overall. And in rugby league, Newcastle Rebels under-18s coach Steve Kidd will lead an unchanged 18-man side to the country championships at Mudgee on Saturday. That's sport. I'm Emily Crow.
To NURFM News Time 26 to 9.